See, it takes an abundance of faith. An abundance of faith to see things as they were. You have to have an abundance of faith to understand Jesus. And the lepers even had to understand and have faith in who Jesus was to even approach him. Now, as we look at chapter 17, we see so many key facts in these verses. See, as my father was even speaking this morning, I was amazed because when I looked at the chapter of Luke, Luke is probably my favorite gospel in the whole New Testament. And why do I say this? It's because Luke always looks at things from a different perspective. And I was going crazy because I felt like my father was stealing my message. But he was clarifying to the church is that Luke always took a step back and viewed things from a different way. And how can I use this as an example? It's because Luke expresses Jesus as the master. When in other gospels, Matthew or Mark will recognize him as rabbi or teacher. But why does Luke look at Jesus as a master? See, master in many definitions, but when I looked up for definitions, I wanted a definition of master that made me be like, wow. And master in definition, and if you want sources like they do in college that we had to do, you can go to yourdictionary.com, okay? That's where I got it from, for all those scholars, whoever wanted it, okay? Now the definition, it says, to become an expert in something or to gain control over something or someone. So when you look at that, Luke understood that Jesus was just no ordinary prophet. Jesus was just not only a teacher or a rabbi, he was a master who was an expert at who he was an expert in situations, was an expert or not only healing, but understanding when someone had faith, something had to come out of him. I don't know what you guys are saying. Luke understood that. Luke looked at Jesus as someone that nobody else looked at him as. See, that's the problem that I'm sorry, Bobby, I'm repeating what you said. But that's something that we don't see in church today. Or even in this world. That people put themselves in other people's shoes. Or people don't view situations as you should view other situations. See, you don't know what situations people go through at times. Some people approach church or approach different people just by their expression in their face. But you don't know what's going on in the inside. You don't know the amount of pain that can be going through. And people like me that wear their emotions on their sleeve, I can't help it. That's just the way I am. And some people would tell me, why are you so mad? I'm like, look, it's just me. I can't help it. I'm not fake. I can't just put a smile on all the time. I can't just look at you and act like everything is going okay. But the problem is that people think that other people can't go through the same situations as they go through. See, sometimes even the people that people judge are going through the situations that they went through. And they don't understand that they just approach them, they'll be able to help them get out of the situation that they already went through. But that's not the mentality people are having these days. It's all about me, and more me. And the problem with having the me attitude is that we forget about having the God attitude. And that's the problem that we're having today. That instead of us putting ourselves in positions to help others grow or to expand the kingdom, we're allowing ourselves to just want everything for me, and me. Now in this chapter, we see so many significances of faith. If we look at the prior verses before verse 11, we see that the disciples and apostles even asked the Lord before this miracle even happened. The apostles asked God in verse 5, Lord, increase our faith. Now, what blew my mind is that how can you be walking with Jesus Christ himself? He has done miracles. He has done so many things, and you're still asking God to increase your faith. It blows my mind that it takes so many miracles. It takes God to do so many things in our lives for us to even have a little bit of faith. It takes situations that we have to be down on the ground crying and God take us out of it so we can recognize, wow, God, you are real. Or wow, God, you really do love me. Why does it have to get to that point to have faith in God? But even in verse 5, when you look at these verses, that's when God tells them, listen, if you just have faith like a mustard seed, and if you wanted to know where that verse is, it's in Luke chapter 17. So when people try to ask you what faith, hey, Luke chapter 17, I learned it. Amen? But it says, he tells them, if you have faith like a mustard seed, you can say to a mountain, move, and it will move. Now, I was thinking, God, for real, how are you going to tell me to have faith? And I'm going to go to literally a mountain and be like, move, and it's going to move? Come on, for real? Are you serious right now? So I'm going to tell the bank, listen, I have faith. God told me I'm going to receive $500 today, so give me $500. No, it's not going to happen that way. Because something that we're forgetting about faith is that if we don't put faith into action, those things will never come about. You can have faith, but faith without action is worthless. So I was asking God, so you're telling me to move a mountain, but I have faith. You said it's going to move. But I just found my spirit saying, yeah, but you got to make it move. You can't just go into a situation having faith and not acting upon it. You can't just receive new things or expect a miracle if you're not taking a certain steps and an action towards your faith. Because faith can only take you so far. But when you act upon that faith, that's when things can come about. I don't know if I'm speaking to somebody. We have to act upon situations with the faith that we have in God to be able to move things so that our life can go towards our destiny. God can't just tell me, Wesley, you're going to be a preacher, and me sitting down playing PS3 all day. Right, babe? Sometimes I understood I had to sacrifice. I had to learn. I had to go through a process. Because God is just not going to give you something He promised you if you're just going to sit back and wait for it. God is just waiting for you to take the specific actions to act upon that faith so that people can say, wow, that wasn't him. That had to be God. And when we look upon that, that's when God, you see, God is so, like they say at Cleveland, right, Jan? God is so cold. God is cold. He's awesome. Because He always uses specific ways to show us and show us the way our style is. See, the way God speaks to my life is not the same way He speaks to your life. God knows the way He needs to approach me and He needs to approach you. Because God is like that. God is a cool dude. He knows the way I need things to be in my life. He knows that the way He brought about my father is not the same way I'm coming about. I like to wear tight shirts. He doesn't. God, that's how God knows the difference. That's why He made you unique. That's why He made you different. That's why He made you with your own fingerprints. That's why He made you the way you are. Your personality, the way you are, the way you were brought up. God knows you. Amen. If He wanted you to be like everybody else, we will all be like zombies right now.